It doesn't matter whether you are you, me, Elon Musk, or Jeff Bezos, we all have the same 24 hours in the day, but how do we use them? One of the biggest questions I get asked is, how do I plan my day? How do I plan my week? What's a day in the life of Daniel Hill or a high-performing property entrepreneur actually like? Well, in this podcast, I'm going to take you behind the scenes to see what I do on the average day, how I go about spending my time, what I focus on and when, and how you could get some value to potentially go out and do the same. A day in the life of Daniel Hill. So in this podcast, I'm going to take you through how I do what I do, a day in the life of how I go about what I do to get things done. And basically a question that we get quite often is, how do I plan my day? What's the day in the life of me like? And what's actually going on behind the scenes in practice? So I'm going to take you through this, and there's a few things to note. The first is there's a fantastic podcast episode that I recorded previously called New Season, New Schedule. And what I talk about in there is basically, depending on the time of the year, I will plan my day differently. So for example, in the winter, it'll be heavily desk focused, lots of time locked out in like 15-minute slots, hour slots, and it's very head down, bang, 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 winter, under the bonnet, behind the scenes, operations, process, finance, etc. Whereas in the summer, long days, I'll probably be out at events, speaking, doing deals, out on site, and I'll have a lot less in my calendar. It's more out, front of house, growth and expansion than it is behind the scenes. So a point to note is, if you haven't already listened to that blueprint, go and have a listen to it. It's called New Season, New Schedule. Search for the episode on the Blueprint podcast. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through, based on where I am now, or at the time of recording, I'm actually moving out of my last executive role as a managing director into a full-time non-exec role or part-time non-exec role as the chairman. And what I'm talking about here is one that is my managing director role. So how I've spent my day for the last sort of 6 to 12 months, taking a consideration into the seasons. What do I do? How do I do it? And what's the day in the life of me actually like? So this is Daniel Hill as the managing director. What do I do and how do I do it behind the scenes? So first thing is I plan my week. So if you haven't already heard the Sunday Sanity Blueprint, I don't think there's a podcast episode for it, but it's one of the blueprints we teach on the 3-day blueprint event. If you've not already been to one of our annual events, go to www.don'ttalktotenants.co.uk. And we only launch our events once a year. Try before you buy. All of our programs start in October, and they've been oversubscribed for over a decade now, every single year. On that 3-day, we teach the Sunday Sanity Blueprint, which is how to plan your week. All of my week is built around what I do on a Sunday, so 15 to 50 minutes on a Sunday afternoon. I go to a nice pub, nice restaurant, or even just at my house, and I just really enjoy clearing my to-do list, or not clearing my to-do list, but consolidating my to-do list, getting rid of my old notes, clearing my desk, setting my week up, planning what I'm going to do each day, and that's called Sunday Sanity. So the first thing is I do that. On a Sunday, I plan my week. I've been doing that for as long as I can remember. Anyone who doesn't do that, I think you're probably missing a trick. The second is, how do I plan my week? So not necessarily going into the blueprint, but I tend to keep Mondays and Fridays clear. So I try and keep Mondays and Fridays clear. Friday I like to have as a buffer week, so I don't go into the weekend with stuff outstanding. Mondays I like to have not a slow start to the week, but I like to be off the grid, working on a big high value project, blueprints, strategy, deals, things like that. So Monday and Friday I tend to keep clear and stay off the grid. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays is basically my call days. So if I've got board meetings, or I don't tend to take a huge amount of phone calls, but Zoom calls, mentoring, board meetings, I'll take all of those on a Tuesday and Thursdays. And then Wednesdays, again, I keep it clear, middle of the week, high value, quite often in studio. I do my studio sessions on a Wednesday, and I finish early. So I do a date night with my partner on a Wednesday. I've been doing that probably for consistently for a year, on and off for a couple of years. Wednesday night, middle of the week, just have dinner together, go out for dinner, go shopping, whatever she fancies doing, or whatever we fancy doing. Have that on a Wednesday, so an early-ish finish, or go to the gym and then finish for 4, 5, and go out for a date night. I have a much smaller team now than I used to have, but I would always do my one-to-ones on a Tuesday. I know a lot of people do their one-to-ones and they're set up for the team on a Monday. I tend to do them on a Tuesday because on a Monday I want that high-value day. Also, I find the team have got things, especially operational team members, usually have things to catch up with from the weekend. So incoming emails, sales, inquiries, our KPI reports are all published on a Tuesday morning. So I tend to keep Mondays free and do all my team setups on a Tuesday. When I plan my week on a Sunday, I actually plan it by the day as well. So I'm old school. I do this on a pad of paper. I get a pad of paper and put Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday down the left-hand side. I literally draw a line and then create 5 strips on a pad of paper. And then I draw a line down the middle and I have half of it, which is high value, and then half of it, which is what I call quick wins, which is basically your daily trivial. And then what I'll do is I'll look at, for this week, what high value projects do I need to get done? And I'll write that for each day. I'll split it through the days. So today would be a studio session. Yesterday I had a board meeting, one of the companies that I sit on. Monday I had a new blueprint to create for the property entrepreneurs. And I look at that and I probably have 1 or 2 really high value tasks, projects a day, which is all about moving the business forward, creating new assets, adding new value. And then for the quick fires, it's just trivial stuff. So it's call Lloyd's Bank and transfer £200,000 to XYZ, or basically trivial admin, day-to-day, quick fire tasks, things that have just got to get done. And at the beginning of the week, there'll be a few of those. But as the week goes on, somebody might say to me, I can't remember what it was I got this morning. Somebody messaged me this morning and said, could you do this? I said, yeah, no problem. I'll do it on Tuesday. So then on my pad, I just wrote Tuesday, do this. And then that's my that'll build out during the week with those quick fires. And I'll just make sure that's all cleared off by the weekend. So I plan my week by the day. I wake up early, so I haven't had a alarm, like an alarm to get up for, since before the pandemic. Even during the pandemic, I didn't have an alarm clock to get up. So that's probably been 5 years. I haven't had an alarm clock, but I do go to bed early. I go to bed between 8 and 9 o'clock. That's normally the latest I would stay up. And then I wake up naturally somewhere between 3 and 5 a.m. And I'll tend to get up between 4 and 5 a.m. I get up, I go downstairs, and I have a big pot of tea. So I actually fast during the mornings. I've been doing this again, probably consistently for about, consistently as in every day for like 6 months. Before that, I did a bulk. So I wouldn't really do that if I was bulking for 12 months. And then before that, since 2019, I used fasting for dieting, cutting weight, and just general like maintenance. For me, it works well. And it doesn't mean I don't wake up hungry. It means I wake up with that sort of feeling. And a great way to overcome hunger, David Sinclair professes that fasting is a really great health benefit, good for weight management, good for dieting, but mainly that the body needs time for the cells to sort of rejuvenate. And they can't rejuvenate and eat the dead cells and get the cells sorted if they're spending the whole time plowing through 3-4 meals a day and you're constantly in that bloated state. I find fasting in the morning, I find it makes me feel good. I find it manages my weight well. I've been doing this consistently for probably 6 months, but then I've been doing it when I've been cutting weight and maintaining weight since 2019. And I just find it makes me feel good. I feel sharp. I feel fresh. I don't have crashes from, like eating a big breakfast. And I would normally start eating somewhere between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m., depending what I'm doing. 10 a.m. would be the earliest, really. So I get a good sort of 5 hours fasting in the morning where I'll be creative, I'll be clean. And then after that, I'll start eating. I'll quite comfortably go to 12, 1 o'clock without eating. And it just makes me feel good. But equally, you will feel hungry. So David Sinclair says the best way to overcome hunger is to hydrate. So I get up and the first thing I do is I walk downstairs and I'll make a big pot. I'm not normally tired. As long as I'm in good diet and good training, I don't necessarily feel tired, but I do feel hungry. And I start the day off with a big pot of tea. It's probably about a litre and a half of green tea. I have 2, I drink matcha green tea. So you see in the pucker range you get from the supermarket. So I have that, or I have loose leaf tea, which I normally buy from other countries. I'll have that in a pot, and then for caffeine, and then I'll have lemon and ginger for flavouring as either tea bags or loose tea. and I'll have one big pot of tea and I'll just sit down. I'll go up to my cave and I'll sit down and I'll do about an hour or hour and a half cave time, which sometimes can be intentional. I'll have a journal or a topic or a creative thing I'm doing. Or sometimes I'll just sit there in silence and just sit there and just think, and then something will come and I'll end up journaling, I'll end up writing, I'll end up creating something. The main thing is 60 to 90 minutes, just free space to think, clear the mind, drink my tea, and do that. And then sometimes I'll read a bit of a book, maybe one chapter of a book if I've got a book on the go. And then what I'll do is I'll go downstairs and I'll make a second pot of tea. So I'll have a second pot of tea. You do need to be careful of caffeine intake, but tea bags wise, like I think it's something like 5 or 6 mugs of green tea is the same as one coffee. So if you look at that, I've looked at it, I can't remember the exact figures, but I have looked at it. And I will also use the same tea bags in a teapot and just fill it up with boiling water again. Because actually, I'm looking more for the hydration and the process of sort of filling my body up and detoxing and cleansing rather than actually getting smashed on loads of caffeine, which I don't know if it's possible on green tea. I don't know if I notice it, but I don't tend to experience that personally. I'll make a second pot, and then what I'll do is I'll go to my study and I'll sit in my study and I will read the paper. I'll get my phone and I'll just sort of read the paper. I will go through personal, private WhatsApp messages, maybe respond to a few of those, read some things I'm interested in, maybe look at the stuff I've got planned for the day, maybe start plugging away at a few bits of work. And then my partner will come down about 8 o'clock. I'll have a drink with her and the dogs and sit there for sort of half an hour, have a drink, have a chat, just be sociable. And then I'll go out, and by then I've had sort of 2 big pots of tea, and I'll go out then and walk the dogs, get my steps in, get some fresh air, come back, get showered, and then head into the study and start to do some work. I'll then do high value work in the morning, so I don't tend to, where it's avoidable, jump on Zoom calls or meetings or WhatsApp. The morning really for me is high value tasks. So appraising deals, doing stuff on my financial fortress, contracts, if I'm buying or selling any companies, doing big agreements, any big deals I'm doing, be working on that sort of stuff in the morning. So really high value. And then what I'll do is, depends how my diary looks, but I'll actually probably then break the day and go for either some steps or some breakfast or to the gym. My gym, I actually mix it up. So I train 4 times a week with a personal trainer, and I actually don't have set days. I've done that before where I would always train at say 6 a.m. When I was bulking, I would train at say 6, get up at 4 and have my first meal, train at 6 till 7:30 every day, 4 days a week. And it's okay. It's fit for purpose. It's good for routine. But as I've started to reduce my workload over the last year or so, and definitely moving into this next phase of my life in a chairman role and non-exec role and having a lot more time to myself, I keep my training sessions free. So actually on a Friday, I'll then book my training sessions for the next week. And it can be whatever my diary looks like. Sometimes it'll be in the morning. Sometimes it'll be around lunchtime. Sometimes it'll be towards the end of the day. I don't tend to train any later than about 3. And then I'll eat based on when my training is. So if I'm training at 3, I'll eat about 1. If I'm training at 1, I'll probably eat about 11 and try and train sort of eat 2 hours before I train. And I'll train for 90 minutes. I'll do weights for 60 minutes, and then I'll do 20-minute cardio, and then I might go and do some steps. That sort of breaks my day up. And then the afternoon, I try to keep trivial. So my mental energy units are used in the morning. And then towards the afternoon, I'll start to do trivial things like messages, admin, WhatsApps, emails. Although I don't run my own inbox, I still need to give the team some direction on that. Any sort of trivial meetings, speaking to insurance companies, the things that sometimes you have to do and you can't delegate. And then I'll finish off the day with some steps, go into the evening and have dinner with my partner. Then I'll we tend to watch like a Netflix episode before bed, wind down, chill out, and then go to bed somewhere between 8 and 9 in the evening. So that's basically like the structure of my day, how I go about my day, where I do my high value work, my trivial work, my training. And then a few other sort of like miscellaneous points to note. I know that you probably see my social media and you think that I spend all day, every day on social media, Well, actually, I only do studio sessions twice a month, so once a fortnight, and it's from 9 till 12. So that's 9, 10, 11, 12, 3 hours in the studio, do all my content, I batch it. The team then do all the script writing, the copy editing, the video editing, the uploads, all of that sort of stuff. So that's all very, very automated. I come to the studio twice a month. Another thing is board meetings and monthly reviews. I tend to do them just once a month. I'll only do board meetings once a month, and I put those into a specific week. Board meetings and monthly reviews, I put them into a specific week, which I'll tell you about in a moment. Well, I'll tell you about now. I run my calendar in a 4-week cycle. So basically, I have week 1 is creative week for me, where I'm doing all my creative stuff, schedules, content decks, training material, any new assets we're creating. I do all of that in week 1. That's my creative week. Week 2 is then board meetings. So I do all of my board meetings for the companies that I own, the companies that I invest in, any meetings that I need to do with senior teams. I do all of those in week 2. So I don't do much desk space work. It's mainly meetings or being in the studio like this in week 2. Week 3, I then keep clear for just whatever else I want to do. If I'm having a holiday, I would normally do it in that week. If I'm having a quiet week, that would be the quiet week. And that's just keep it clear, keep it chilled. And then week 4 is event week. So in event week, it would be at events, speaking at events, attending events, and then it would go back round in a 4-week cycle. A few other points to note. So I don't take phone calls. My work phone, which my team have, is always off. I only turn it on. I might turn it on a weekly basis, maybe a fortnightly basis, if I need to take a phone call, but I don't tend to take phone calls. I have lots of gatekeepers who do phone calls for me. I take Zoom meetings, which are like board meetings, but I just don't tend to take phone calls. Normally, if my phone rings, there's something wrong. But my private phone might ring once a fortnight, maybe. But my work phone is off. 90% of the time, my work phone is off. I don't run an inbox, so I don't have an email inbox. My EA runs my email inbox, and she'll basically manage probably 90% of it. And the stuff that I need to respond to with either decisions or direction, I'll respond to on a daily basis on WhatsApp. I check my WhatsApp twice a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, sort of close of play. And that's it. I'm just in and out. That used to be a really bad habit of mine. I'm actually over that now. I've finally grown up, broken the habit and got through it. If you have similar issues, go to listen to the Breakthrough Blueprint that I recorded recently. It's an episode on this podcast called The Breakthrough Blueprint. Check that out. It's very absolute game changer. But I do spend a lot of money on gatekeepers and a lot of money on help. So my life and my business is pretty much sort of done for me. I don't drive. If it's over 30 or 45 minutes, I don't drive my own car. I have 2 drivers. I don't clean my own house. I have cleaners. I don't manage my own grounds. I have an estate manager who runs the grounds, the gardening, the maintenance. My EA manages the insurance, the utilities, the mortgage, things like that. I do spend a lot of money on gatekeepers. So I have EAs, I have senior team members, I have PAs, VAs, I have a driver, I have people who help around the house. So my life and business in the main is pretty much done for me in the things that I don't want to do. The things that I do want to do, I do myself. That's just out of choice. And I have a small team now. I've had big teams. I've had national companies. I had over 40 team members at one point. I now have a very small team. I have, as far as direct people that report to me, like less than 5 people that report to me, and they're all world-class high performers. I pay them very good money. They do a fantastic job. They make my life very easy. But you can't get rid of all the problems in a business, but you can make sure they don't arrive at your door. And that's why I have and spend a lot of money on high-class, world-class high performers. Few sort of tips to finish. One is I design my days. So I really will sit there, especially when I've got time, I'll sit there and I'll create my day. Like, what do I want my day to look like? Going out for a nice breakfast. I work in cafes and hotels and restaurants quite a lot. Places where I like to eat, I like to drink. As in, like, I know they do good green tea, or they're just places I like to spend time. I'll go to like really nice pubs and restaurants just to work. I'll go out for steps. I'll do my gym. I want to plan my day so it's really nice, not too heavy. Not always avoidable. Sometimes I can spend 5 or 6 hours in board meetings, but that's just what it is. But then the next day I'll make sure it's chilled. I'm off the grid. I'm enjoying it. So, I'm trying to be as intentional with my time and my days as I can. The second is I'll often look at what I want to do and what I don't want to do. So when I'm planning my week, if there's stuff that I don't want to do, I'll try and delegate it, or maybe I'll cram it all into one day where there's things I don't like doing, and I'll get it done so I can enjoy the rest of the week. And the stuff that I don't want to do, I don't tend to do. I'll tend to delegate it. I'll tend to not do it. I'll tend to build a plan or a strategy to get out of it. And this is what we teach a lot on the 3-day event around Life by Design. Next is I'll change it often. So if you've heard me talk about how I plan my day or my week, I'll change it often. I'll change it quarterly based on the seasons. Most recently, going into the chairman role, I've explicitly blocked out Mondays and Fridays now for no meetings at all, whereas previously I would just keep it clear. And I'll change it often when I get bored, when the seasons change, as my workload changes, I've got different projects on, I'll change it. And the main thing is to live intentionally, is to appreciate that life, this is it. This is our life. How we spend our days is indeed how we spend our lives. It's just trying to do it intentionally, trying to enjoy it, try not to kill myself with it. I also learn what doesn't work. So when I know I've got a huge day of board meetings, I'll just know that's overkill. And I'll say to my assistant, look, I understand why we did that because I was on holiday last week or because there's an event next week. But in the future, let's not book out 5 hours worth of calls on the same day because it makes me tired or it's unenjoyable. Stagger them or do I'll change it as we go, and I'll learn what doesn't work and I'll feed that back to my team. And then equally, like I said just a minute ago, is I'll bite the bullet. I don't tend to drag things out. If I look at my workload, I'm like, right, there's a lot of stuff to do here. I'll have a clear the decks day where I'll know that I'm going to get up at 5, I'm going to start work at 6, and I'm going to work till 5 in the afternoon. And it's just a clear the decks day. My work's got on top of me. My to-do list's getting long. I feel like I'm chasing my tires. I'll call it a beast mode day. And I did one of these last week while I was in Bali. I just said, I need a beast mode day just to get shit done. And I just sat down and just absolutely nailed my work and did a huge day. But then the next day I was by the pool. I was in the spa. I was going and doing yoga meditation because I did that. I won't normally drag myself kicking and screaming. If I feel like my work's on top of me, I'll normally bite the bullet and get it done. Equally, when I've got stuff to do, so for example, today I'm in the studio. Rather than come to the studio and half-arse it, I've added 2 hours to the studio today to get the content done, lots of the content done for the next 12 weeks for things like campaigns, things like marketing pages, VSLs. I'd rather just get it done in one day, one sitting. It's a big day. It takes energy and effort, but I'd just rather get it done. And then tomorrow, my day is completely clear at the house for just high-value stuff working in the office. And then finally, it's just this is it. It's nobody's cracked it. Mine changes a lot. If you're in beast mode, you're going to be doing beast mode months, not beast mode days. If you're doing best self, you're going to be doing very little beast mode, very lots of enjoying the process. And I would just say enjoy it. This is it. Build your life intentionally. Beast mode when you have to build beast mode. If you haven't already done our 3-day blueprint event, try before you buy, 100% money back guarantee. Check it out. We take you through all of this stuff. And the aim of the game is to enjoy your life, enjoy your business. You don't want to work 40 hours a week for 40 years, running a business that you don't enjoy. You want to create your life by design, your months, your weeks, your days, intentionally, and enjoy the process. Hopefully that's given you an insight. I recommend a couple of additional podcast episodes that I've talked about in here. New schedule, new season. Check that one out, or new season, new schedule. And also check out the Breakthrough Blueprint if you're serious about stepping up, stepping out and moving to the next level. Success and failure with all this stuff, as always, are very predictable. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you on the next episode.